Hey, it's Peter Voogd, and I want to welcome you to the Young Entrepreneur Lifestyle Podcast, where we really help you build a life and a business on your terms and help you design your ideal lifestyle versus taking what's given. And this is a very important episode because in this video, you're going to learn how I have been able to study less. It's a simple hack, but it's very powerful. How I've been able to study less, work less hours, claim some of my freedom back, and be 3 times more productive with better results. I'm also going to share a simple system on how to avoid overwhelm. And I'm going to share the worst addiction an entrepreneur can have and how to avoid this epidemic for yourself. I'm excited. Thank you guys for listening, for watching, whether you're driving, whether you're working out, whether you're focused in a morning routine. I appreciate you. We try to provide the best possible content for entrepreneurs to help claim some freedom back and build a great lifestyle. So a while back, I'm having a conversation with someone. It was in San Diego. And he mentioned that he had read 100 books in the course of a year. And on the surface, it looks like a pretty impressive accomplishment, which it is because you have to have time, and that's a lot of books, and you're gaining some great knowledge. I wouldn't have had time to read that much. But when I asked him what those books helped him accomplish, he was stumped. He couldn't really provide me with anything that was a tangible result or a result in business. And this is after thousands of pages of entrepreneurial insight. And this is the big problem I see with a lot of entrepreneurs. They consume, they interact, they post, they scroll, they attend events, they consume more and more content than they ever have, yet they're not getting real results. And before they realize it, a year's gone by and they're in the same places they were before. They might know a little more, but their life hasn't changed. Why is this? It's because society has developed an infatuation with just information. Now, for starters, we're exposed at a whole different level than we used to. So giving some credit and taking a little bit of responsibility for where the market is, Moore's Law states that information is doubling every 18 months. Here's some data that I want to share that kind of shows how much we're absorbing. Every minute, Facebook users share nearly 2.5 million pieces of content. Twitter users tweet nearly 350,000 times. Instagram posts nearly 500,000 new photos. YouTube uploads 72 hours of new video content. Apple users download nearly 75,000 apps. Email users send over 200 million messages. Amazon generates almost 300,000 in online sales. And according to IBM Marketing Cloud, 90% of the data in the world today was created in the last 2 years alone. With 2.5 quintillion bytes of data being created every single day. Think about that for a second. And I fell for this firsthand when there wasn't even as much data available. And it caused me to almost give up on entrepreneurship. It's 2008. I'm struggling. I dropped out of college. I'm trying to figure out this entrepreneur thing. I'm studying. I'm reading. I'm talking to people. I'm getting advice from everybody. I'm watching YouTube videos. I'm consuming information from everywhere. And I wasn't seeing any results. And I started to focus a little more on mastery and execution. I hired a mentor, and the next year was a record-breaking year for me. So firsthand, the goal should be mastery and execution and results over information overload, knowledge, and learning. You see, mastery is the highest form of accomplishment. And the only way to become successful is to master the fundamentals that are matched with your end goals and your end results. Here's an example. So fast forward, I forgot about this concept. It was 2018, 2019. I started consuming more. And I think what happens is it's easier to consume, and sometimes execution is challenging in business. So instead of executing what you learn, entrepreneurs trick themselves into thinking they need more information instead of executing what they've already learned. And I fell in this trap, but I did an experiment. For a whole year, I only had one mentor. I listened to one podcast. I went to one event. I only read one book, and I consumed the least amount of content I ever consumed. but I focused on knowing myself and really digging deep into who I was. It was the greatest year of my life. I had the most success, the most income, the most happiness, the most results, the most freedom, the most everything. And I want to share with you how I did that. So I was able to work less, study less, but get better results, because who you are and knowing yourself is the most powerful form on the planet. And if you're addicted to information and not results and outcomes, you're not going to get the success you want, and you'll be wasting precious time. So there's 4 parts to mastery. There's clarity, there's adopting minimalism, there's deep daily practice, and there's the execution filter system. Number 1 is absolute clarity. You need to know what you want, why you want it, and what you're willing to give up. So you have to start with your ideal outcome. And clarity is an until activity. It's not, well, I don't have clarity, I'll just go back to what's normal. No. Clarity is an until activity. So what that means is you have to figure out what you want until you actually get it, or you have to figure out the clarity that you need until you get the clarity, not till it gets hard. It should make your brain hurt a little bit, right? So what's your ideal outcome in the next 6-12 months? Ideal. If we were hanging out in 1 year, what would have had to happen for you to be completely satisfied and excited about your results in the next year? How big is your team? How much money are you making? How involved are you in the business? You got to have that. You got to have clarity. What are your most important values? What skills do you need to master? Figure that out, okay? I go deeper in my book, 7 Rules to 7 Figures. This is actually from chapter 1. I give detailed accounts and execution plans, and I share a little more in depth, but this is just kind of a summary because a lot of people were asking about this subject. So the problem with a lot of people, including myself back in the day, is they have so much information and they read books and go to all these seminars, but because subconsciously when you're overwhelmed, you seek distraction or you stay paralyzed, right? The immature learner wants to get as much information as fast as they can, but usually you'll find them overwhelmed, stressed, and broke, lacking progress. The mature mind is very deliberate with what they study and put in their mind. The achievers focus on listening to something until they've adopted it into their daily agenda and seen their results improve. They move to the next skill that's congruent with their goals and vision once that one's mastered. So adopting minimalism is a great way to run your business. It's a great way to run your life. Just get rid of the messes and the noise. Find a few good books, have a few good friends, focus on a couple big goals, a couple priorities, give up good opportunities for great ones or for exceptional ones, right? Obsession is the hallmark of genius. So don't try to be good or average at 50 things. Be obsessed with the few things that you know are most important in your life. And then focus on deep daily practice. You can actually grow your brain and your intellect through practice, which accelerates your processing, which allows you to see things more clearly than your peers who don't practice. When you stretch yourself, when you challenge yourself, when you practice almost like an athlete, like Kobe practiced a shot, Tiger practiced a shot. He used to visualize with precise precision what grain of grass it was going to go over to go in the hole. When you practice almost like Mozart practice composing music, each day you stretch yourself, push past your limits will expand over time. And there's certain areas of your brain, according to neuroplasticity, that will grow and you will eventually become automatic and get extremely good at your craft. But think about it. Why do athletes shoot free throws when they already know how? Repetition is the father of learning. Okay, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. If you practice average, you'll be average. That's why you want to practice excellence. So you might say, how does this apply to mastery? Well, it means every single day, practice your craft. As a business person, practice your craft, read about whatever skill that you need to master that's most relevant to your end results. If your goal is to be a world-class negotiator, if your goal is to be a world-class speaker, read everything you can get your hands on with that subject. Okay. During your morning routine, practice your craft. At night, practice your craft. Because as you practice and as you work on your gift, the world makes room for it, right? Just imagine if you practiced every day. Again, not just go to work, but practice. You're consciously challenging yourself And you know that every single piece of information you're studying is relevant to your skill, to your strength, and to your end result versus studying randomly, right? Mastering a new skill is not even optional anymore. You have to. In this fast-paced, competitive world, being able to learn a new skill is one of the keys to success. And I personally believe skills are weapons. I want you, if you're listening to this or watching this and you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you're getting things to enhance your skills. It's not enough to be smart anymore. You need to always be getting smarter, and you need to always be pushing forward or you're falling behind. And the only way to really hit those big goals you dream about is to grow into them through your skills. Even if you're already making six figures, there's a lot more you can learn to get to 7. So let me go over the filter system. This is very important. And once I started doing this, my entire life changed and I had more free time. Once you read something, once you read a book, okay, once you study something, this is what you have to ask yourself. Or this is even before you take something on. So if it's a book, so I'm reading The Drama of a Gifted Child, it's something for my kids, right? So I'm reading this, and I have read a lot of books behind me right here. But now I'm so focused on only reading things that are relevant. So the first question is this information congruent to my ideal 6-month vision? Okay, ask yourself that. Let me pull this one out too. Here's an example. 6 months to 6 figures, or 7 rules to 7 figures. Sorry, 6 months to 6 figures was my first book. If your goal is 7 figures, this is the entrepreneur's playbook to freedom, family, and fortune. If right now your goal is to get to 7 figures and you want more flexibility and freedom, this might be a book to master. Now, if that's not your focus, there's not really a point in reading this. And this is my own book, but I'm telling you not to get it if it's not relevant to what you're doing right now. Next, I would ask, is this information proven and taught by somebody who has results I want and values similar to mine? Big question. Have I taken action on the previous information I've learned? And am I certain this is the best information and training on the subject? See, what would make the biggest difference in your bottom line results? You always want to make sure what you're studying is relevant to your 6 or 12-month vision. Every book, podcast, audio, program, person you study should only be talking about that subject, period. Okay, that's a huge, huge key. And you can start small. Real progress and self-improvement can feel overwhelming. Realize you can't take on everything. If you do, you'll never do it. Instead, choose one skill at a time and then break it down into measurable goals and reflect along the way. To move from experimentation to mastery, you need to reflect what you're learning. Otherwise, the new skill won't stick, right? Challenge yourself to teach it to others. One of the quickest ways to learn something is to practice it and then teach it to others. So share what you learn with your team, your manager, your coworkers, your customers, your family, and then be patient. Aggressive patience, I like to say. Too often we approach a new skill with the attitude that we should nail it down right out the gate. The reality is it takes much longer. It's not going to happen overnight. It usually takes 6 months or more to develop a new skill, and it may take longer for others to see and appreciate that skill. People around you will probably notice like 10% of every 100% change you make, right? That's just the reality. So focus on mastery. That's the highest form of accomplishment. If you want to go deeper, this is chapter 1 from my book as well, 7 Rules of 7 Figures. I've kind of simplified everything I've learned about how to build a 7-figure business into this playbook with a focus on results and freedom. The audiobook's available as well. But let me know your thoughts below. Let me know your thoughts on mastery. Let me know your thoughts on consuming versus producing, because if you want to thrive, I think it's important to start producing more than you consume and start executing more than you're reading or learning. I think that's a game changer. So thank you.